Hi, we're joined by Dez from COAL Chamber and Devil Driver. How are you, Dez?
I'm doing good, sir.
Oh, man, it's great to be feeling this new album, Rivals. Congratulations on a great album.
Absolutely, thank you. We worked very hard on it. We wanted to come up with something new and fresh, and I think we did that. And the response has been absolutely overwhelmingly positive, so we're very grateful.
Well, that's amazing stuff. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you got involved in music, like who's some of your influences, your inspirations to do this yourself.
Well, okay, so I mean that's kind of a long story. I mean, I was born and raised in North Hollywood. Moved down to my parents moved several different times. Ended up in Orange County as a kid. Had a very difficult home life. I ran away from home, left home to L.A. Slept under bridges and et cetera to get into bands. Formed COAL Chamber early on. We were called She's in Pain. It was just Meigs and I formed that in probably, I would say, 90 or 91. It eventually became COAL Chamber in 92, 93. From there, we came out of Los Angeles, which was a dead rock and roll and club scene, completely decimated by kind of the 80s music, and created a new form of music and a new scene. Eventually started selling out the Roxy and the Whiskey, etc. Landed a deal with Roadrunner Records, and went on to do 3 records, break up, and after 13 years, we're coming back together with communication open and firing on all cylinders with a new record.
Well, that's a hell of a history right there. Who were some of your musical heroes growing up? Who were the bands or artists that really inspired you?
Well, I grew up on everything, so I would say everything from psychobilly to a lot of punk rock, Black Flag, early Black Flag, before Henry Rollins stuff.
Sure.
The Germs, Dead Kennedys, GBH, Partisans, you name it. But I've a lot of punk rock stuff. I listen to a ton of blues. I love metal, both some classic stuff as well as a lot of the newer stuff. I listen to a ton of black metal. So like as I was coming up, my main influences were Motorhead, a lot of punk rock, a lot of the blues cats that sing with a lower kind of growlier register, Howlin' Wolf, etc., like that. And then I've always loved groove. I've always loved soul music too. So it's real hard to pin me down. I'm the kind of guy I always say I have no room for the purist, because I listen to so many different styles of music, and gratefully I think listening to that many styles of stuff automatically adds something special to the music you end up doing as an artist. So.
Well, I think that's really important to have some wide roots. I can tell when I listen to your music that you're not a one-trick pony and didn't listen to one genre. I think the deeper the roots, the farther the branches can grow.
Yeah, most definitely, and well said. I mean, people always trip out when they come into my tour bus and they sit in the back lounge for a while because they're like, it jumps around. I mean, it's like, here's Johnny Cash, and then all of a sudden it's, ZZ Top, and then all of a sudden it's Satyricon and Pantera, and then from there, it goes into some blues, and then people are always tripped out, like, wait, where are we going here? And it's just like, we're going where I want to go. We're having wine, and we want to listen to good music, and that means you got to listen to all genres and all forms of it.
Well, we always say there's only really 2 kinds of music that moves you and music that doesn't.
Yeah, and I want to quote Lemmy here, but they asked him one time, what kind of music, do you like? And he said, good music. It's like the most perfect answer, obscure and visceral at the same time.
Yeah, how are you going to argue with Lemmy after that?
I don't think you can. I mean, that's definitely a hero of mine. I mean, I thought Motorhead was a punk rock band until I saw a picture of them,
Right.
So that's what turned me on to that. And, I mean, at that time I was listening to everything from the Bad Brains to, early Jane's Addiction. I mean, I love all music, so.
Sure. Well, I know you and Meigs were the foundation of COAL Chamber early on, and I know you guys ran into, your differences and the altercation in '02, on stage in Texas that started the breakup of the band. What is it about your relationship, with him that, is stronger now, having gone through all that?
Well, you got to realize we lived in a studio apartment together when we first started. I mean, we had to steal food to stay alive. We traded top ramen, and we went through a lot. And I think what happened with Coal Chamber is we got signed. We had a lot of hard work behind us, but a lot of hard work ahead of us, touring the world with bands like Pantera and Black Sabbath, et cetera. And eventually get to a point where you have gold records, you have fame, you've got money, and then the ego takes over, and then all the vices come in. And I mean everything that's cliche, from drugs to alcohol to too many women on the fucking tour to money, all of it. And eventually, things happen. Now, fast forward 13 years later, communication just started to really open up with us in 2006. He came on stage, Meeks came on stage with Devil Driver and played Loco at a sold-out show here in California. We gave each other a big hug, and that felt good. So from 2006, 2009, we talked every once in a while. A lot of people don't know, we got together in 2009. We actually demoed 2 Coal Chamber songs. But when we listened back to it, it kind of harkened back to the old days, and I wasn't willing to go there, and I don't think they were either. I was like, if we're going to ever do Coal Chamber, all 3 of our records were so different and offered something so different from one another that we've got to be able to offer that, otherwise let's not do it. So I guess the very short right now answer to that would be communication opened up. We knew that we took our friendship for granted. We knew that we didn't want to have any regrets. And now comes the resounding part that everybody should hear out of this interview, where if you have a chance to make up with somebody that you fell out with, a boss that fired you, rightly so, that you want to walk back to and say, I'm glad you fired me because I finally got my shit together, or, the girlfriend you had the falling out with that you were wrong and you guys were in love, or the friend that you had the falling out with after 20 years at a bar for no reason, you haven't talked to him in 10 years, like, reach out, because life is way too short. And that's where we were at in our heart. Life is way too short. Let's get together. Let's do a reunion. Let's see if we have fun. And from there, we'll see where it goes. We had no intention whatsoever in writing a record at all until we got to Australia, where I heard some of the stuff that Meeks was writing. And I said, what is this? Who is this for? He goes, that's just some new stuff I'm writing. I said, exactly the perfect word, new. And I don't mean N-U. I mean N-E-W. I was like, this stuff is fresh. The sound is fresh. The maturity of the riffs, the maturity of the arrangements. I want to be a part of that. We took it around the world, we toured, and then we realized that after doing a reunion, you can only do a reunion once. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And from there, do we want to make music? And by total coincidence, I had done 20 years straight on the road, 12 to 13 of them with Devil Driver, spit out 6 records with those guys. Our last record, Winter Kills, debuted higher than any of the rest and was, critically acclaimed. And I realized, like, it was just time, after no breaks between records and no break in 20 years, that I was going to take basically 2 years off the road. So I talked to my family, and we did, we looked into some things. We're like, okay, yeah, take some time off. Let's be with the family. And coincidentally, the Coal Chamber guys all said, listen, you got a home studio, which means you can still have dinner with your family and hang out. How would you, would you mind laying a Coal Chamber record? I said, absolutely not. So, and that's how this thing is rolling out tour-wise, too. I'm off cycle completely, but they'll call me and say, look, we're going to do 8 days in South America, Monsters of Rock with Ozzy and Judas Priest and Motorhead. You want to do it? Yeah, we'll do it. We're going to go, right now, we're going to go over to Europe for 18 days. You feel like doing that? Yeah, I'll do that. Let's do that. And that's kind of how we've been rolling out tours together. And so we're not putting that kind of pressure on ourselves, like, let's get on the road for 3 years straight. I think it's kept the fun in it, and that's the main word around Coal Chamber is fun. And as long as that fun still exists and people keep their shit together, then yeah, we'll tour and keep making music.
Well, you definitely got that indie spirit. You're doing it for the love of it. You're not doing it because the record label's telling you got to get in, you got to write this style, and you got to do that. Tell us about Nadja and Bug, your cohorts here with Migs, and why they help make the perfect new and improved Coal Chamber.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. Well, first of all, yeah, we're blessed to have a label. I'm blessed to have a label both with Devil Driver and Coal Chamber in Napalm Records, where they do not push in that kind of a way where you skew your music for media to make monetary gain whatsoever. They say, Dez, we believe in you, we trust in you, make art. And now, you'd have to, in order to go into Nadia, in order to go into Mike, you've got to realize that what Meeks brings to the table, he's one of the only guys as a guitar player that I can put up next to like a Tom Morello, like from Rage. Like, he actually takes the guitar and boxes and crazy shit and makes different sounds and textures and things that aren't happening now and that won't happen again, that are only happening with him. And I think that's, in essence, what Mike brings to the table as a drummer, too. He's a ferocious drummer on stage. Performance-wise, he's so fun to watch. He's sober. He's been working on his sobriety for a long time. He's been sober for a while now, and it's showing in his playing, his attitude off stage, everything. And his style can be attributed to one of only probably 3 other drummers out there that do that thing. There's like a thing they do that is incredible, Nadia brings a lot to the table. She is extremely pro. She came in and laid the whole record in 4 days. Came in totally together. She's a monster on stage. She doesn't just look good. She actually knows how to play her instrument. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's into it. That being said, the thing is Coal Chamber as a whole is us 4, and basically always has been. And when you put us 4 together, you're going to get something different and something innovative. And something special. And every record, should we even make another one after Rivals, right? Which we had a great time making the record, so I can't see why we wouldn't. And it seems like it's getting really well received so far. But it's probably going to sound way different than this record, because that's just the kind of band that we've always been. We tend to have evolution, and I think it's important, that we just don't rest on our laurels and just repeat. I could easily say, oh, yeah, if you like Dark Days, you're going to love this record. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It sounds like Dark Days. We didn't want that kind of a thing at all. We wanted to come up with something new and fresh, and I think we did it.
Yeah. Now, I know chemistry is so important in the team. At one point, going back doing the Ozfest and all that, you were managed by Sharon Osbourne. What worked and what didn't work, in that relationship?
Well, I think everything works within that relationship. She was great. Not only a great manager, but she was a great friend. And still to this day, whenever I see her, it's a huge hug. And most of the time a tear from both of us. I think in the end, what didn't work was the members of Coal Chamber. You can't have guys on doing hard drugs, etc., and expect things to work. And I was never that kind of guy. I was always just kind of have a glass of wine and smoke some good herb kind of guy. And those things, those heavy drugs or heavy alcohol use, this and that, they break up bands, they break up management, and it's very difficult to deal with artists or artists' demands when they're out of their fucking mind. And it's literally the reason I left Coal Chamber. It was just, it seemed like it was out of its mind. And so, cut my own nose off to despite my face, an old Italian analogy, left the band, got back in a van and an RV, started my career all over again with Devil Driver, and luckily I enjoyed the build of art, because that took a while and is now built, now Devil Driver's built into a monster, and we hope now Coal Chamber comes back and comes back full on. I know the shows have been incredible, and the meet and greets have been sold out. I know that Rivals is getting so much acclaim by even the most cynical guys, emailing me on the side going, dude, I can't stop listening to this record, that I think it's showing through, that the communication opened, that we were positive behind the music, that we were having a good time in it, that we weren't skewed by a label to, make a certain kind of style of song. And it's apparent, because when you listen to IOU, which is, it's on the radio now, it's picking up radio stations, Octane was playing it for a while, etc. It's a very heavy song. It takes balls as a program director to put that song on an active rock station, but we're picking up stations. And if we would have had that kind of a label, they would have heard the song and said, okay, now go back in and retrack it cleaner and lighter so we can get more airplay, so we can get more money. But they didn't do that, because they don't base their art on commerce, even though they're a business.
Right.
They figure that if I stay true to my art, if Coal Chamber stays true to their art, if Devil Driver stays true to their art, then eventually that's going to overwhelm and overwin anything that would be just for the monetary gain.
Sure. Now, I know on Suffer in Silence you have your old friend Al Jurgensen from Ministry on that. What does Al bring to the equation?
Al understands exactly what Coal Chamber is, which is like equal amounts goth, The Damned, and Bauhaus meets, you know, punk rock on stage and hand off and heavy metal. And I just think he understands all three of those things. When I sent him the lyrics and the song, told him what it was about like being quiet for way too long when you have something to say to somebody, and finally it just explodes. You end up suffering in silence. He was like, I'm in. Came down to my house. You know, he just recently moved from Texas to Los Angeles, so we've been hanging out before he left on this last tour, having dinner and stuff. He came down. We had a big Italian meal here. We drank a bunch of wine, went in my studio and recorded. And hearing him get his signature tone vocally was just unbelievable, man. An unbelievable moment. I've had the pleasure over 20 years to work with some incredible artists, from Ozzy to Anselmo. I mean, I could sit and name a ton of names, but working with Ministry was like unbelievable, because you hear that tone, you know, and Al is Ministry to me. So when you're working with Al, you're working with Ministry, and you hear that tone coming out of your vocal booth at your own house. It's like, it's a pretty shocking moment, man. It's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, it definitely shows in the music. And all that you've been through, what advice do you give to those young bands today? Because obviously it's a different business, but, you know, musically you got to bring your own style, your own mindset. What do you tell these young bands today they got to concentrate on?
They'll concentrate on getting your own style. Don't try to copy whatever's in now, because by the time you get signed, it's going to be over with. Stay away from everything fucking cliche possible. So if you think it's fun that everybody's, you know, drunk at 3 a.m, that may be cool until you're on the road for a year and then everybody breaks up because of it. You know, watch your finances for sure. Start in your local hometown and sell out a venue a bunch of times before you start going to look to play everybody everywhere else. Put your shit on social media like a madman. Try to play with other bands that come into your town. I play with a lot of local bands, man. It's a thing that I love to do in Devil Driver and Coal Chamber. If we have a first slot open or whatever, we give it to a local band to jump on the tour for that night. I believe in helping people out and getting their music, you know, known. But other than that, really, you know, try to make rehearsal every single night. As soon as arguments start because of music, you know, find different players, because it should be a good time. You should be having a great time. Music should elevate you. It should be not a bunch of inward fighting, etc. And if all that is going down within your band, you may want to look to the vices that are surrounding you or your band, be it drugs, alcohol, the girlfriend that shows up to every single rehearsal and has something to say to everybody about everything. You know, you got to watch out for Yoko harder than you got to watch out for hard drugs and alcohol too. So, you know, that's my initial take on things. You know, and do what I did. Keep your day job. I kept my day job until I actually, you know, had a record deal, and I got fired that day because I was on the phone so much trying to seal the record deal. So, you know, don't be one of these guys that's like, you know, got to go sleep on, you know, I mean, of course I slept on a ton of couches, but I also work. So what I'm saying to you is, if you got to sleep on couches, make sure you work your way through it. Don't just try to be, don't be the cliche musician sponge.
Well, sounds great, Dez. We appreciate it all. Can't wait to help getting the word out on the new album, and best of luck. Can't wait to see you back on the road.
Cool, man. Appreciate the support. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody enjoys this record. We worked very hard on it.